All right, everybody. Ready for a deep dive into something pretty amazing?
Always up for that.
Today, we're looking at visualization meditation.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and get this. The source we're diving into claims it can unlock some serious inner energy.
Oh, wow. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's what we're going to find out. Like, have you ever felt like there's this whole other level of awareness just, waiting to be tapped into?
Yeah.
That's what we're exploring.
I'm intrigued already. It's funny because, it's different from those meditation practices where you try to clear your mind.
Right.
This one's like the opposite, right?
Yeah.
You're actively engaging with it, visualizing, like painting pictures in your mind.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, and that's what I thought was so interesting, right? But it gets even, wilder. The source connects this visualization practice to something called Kundalini energy.
Kundalini energy.
Have you ever heard of that? Yeah. So they describe it as this, potent force that's just coiled at the base of your spine, just waiting to be awakened.
Right.
What's the deal with Kundalini energy?
Well, it's definitely something that, sparks a lot of curiosity.
All right.
Right. And the imagery is so powerful too. It's often depicted as a coiled serpent. And it's this idea of this dormant spiritual energy that's within us.
Okay.
And the idea is that, through different practices like certain types of meditation or yoga, you can awaken this energy.
Okay.
And it rises up through your body's energy centers, the chakras.
So we got chakras, we got Kundalini. It's like we're going on some mystical adventure here.
Yeah.
Right.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, break it down for us.
Okay.
What happens when this Kundalini energy supposedly awakens?
Okay.
And how does visualization play into it?
So, those moments where you have those really clear insights and everything just kind of clicks?
Yeah.
Or a surge of energy or inspiration kind of comes out of nowhere?
Right.
So traditionally that's what they associate with the awakening of Kundalini.
Okay.
These heightened awareness, these, really profound insights.
Okay.
And even major life shifts.
Yeah.
Like unlocking a higher level of consciousness within yourself.
So instead of waiting for those aha moments to just happen randomly.
Right.
This source is saying that we can use visualization to maybe jumpstart the process. Exactly.
Yeah.
And visualizations, especially ones that involve light moving through the chakras, are believed to be almost like a roadmap.
Oh, okay.
For that Kundalini energy to follow.
So by visualizing this upward flow of energy, we're sort of creating a path for it to potentially awaken.
That's a great way to put it.
It's we're giving our inner energy system a jump start with the power of our own minds.
Yeah, and that's just one of the many aspects of visualization meditation that's so fascinating, right? Mm-hmm. This idea that what we're holding in our minds can actually have a real impact on our energy, maybe even our spiritual development.
See, and that's what gets me, because if we can do that, if we can influence our energy and our awareness just with visualization, what else are we overlooking? But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I kind of want to bring it back to practicality for our listeners.
Okay, yeah.
Because, our listeners are always down to try new things. So how can our listeners give this visualization thing a try?
Yeah.
Is it a special skill? Or can anyone just close their eyes and start picturing stuff?
That's the cool part. You don't need any special equipment or years of training or anything like that.
Right.
A really simple but powerful technique for beginners is the beam of light visualization.
Okay.
So you just imagine this warm, radiant light at the base of your spine.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So then what, do I shoot it up to my brain like a rocket?
Not quite. So as you inhale, you visualize that light gently rising along your spine, moving through each of your chakras. Imagine it illuminating each energy center as it passes, all the way up to the crown of your head. Then as you exhale, picture the light softly settling within, filling you with this incredible sense of peace and clarity.
What's funny? Just hearing you describe it, I can already feel myself relaxing a little.
Right.
But our source also mentioned using images of things like, divine forms or sacred symbols. What's the thinking behind those?
It's all about finding what clicks for you, what resonates.
Okay.
You can use any image that speaks to you personally. So you can visualize a deity from your own spiritual background, for example.
Right.
Or maybe a symbol that represents peace or strength, or really any quality you want to cultivate within yourself.
So it's creating your own visual language for your practice.
Exactly.
I like that. So it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. You can tailor it to your own beliefs and what you're hoping to get out of it.
Exactly.
But let's back up for a sec, because some of our listeners might be wondering, what's the science behind all of this?
Okay.
Is there actual proof that these visualizations actually do anything?
Right, and that's a great question. And while we're still figuring out all the details about chakras and Kundalini energy from a scientific perspective,
Right.
there's actually a growing amount of research on visualization itself.
Okay.
And what's really cool is that studies have shown that visualization can actually change brain patterns. And these changes are similar to the changes that happen when you physically do something.
Whoa. So even if we just focus on the brain stuff, just picturing that beam of light is still doing something real up there.
Exactly. It's not just some imaginary exercise. It's having a real impact on your brain.
Okay.
And it's not just brain activity either. Visualization has been linked to a bunch of benefits.
Like what?
Things like better concentration, less stress and anxiety, even more creativity and better performance, and all sorts of things.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's like you're basically training your mind to zero in and stay present, even if what you're focused on is something you made up.
Exactly.
It's like mental weightlifting, but for your attention span.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really is like working out your mental muscles. And remember how our source highlighted how these visualizations, especially those with light, can impact energy flow in the body, particularly through those energy centers, the chakras.
Right. I was just getting to that. What's the connection there?
So even though we're still learning about chakras scientifically, a lot of people experience them as these very real hubs of energy in the body.
Okay.
Think of them like spinning wheels of energy.
I like that visual.
Yeah. And each one influences different parts of us, like our creativity or love or willpower.
Oh, wow. So even if someone's not totally sold on the idea of chakras, they could still feel some benefits just from doing the visualization itself.
Exactly. Think of that visualized light movement as a metaphor for waking up those energy channels within you. Whether you relate it to chakras or just to feeling more balanced and alive,
Yeah.
the practice itself can be super powerful.
It's like giving your inner battery a jump, no matter what you believe.
Exactly.
But speaking of powerful, our source mentioned that these visualizations can maybe even lead to these big spiritual breakthroughs, like the rising of Kundalini energy, which they said is a type of spiritual awakening. Should people expect that to happen?
That's where things get really interesting, but it's important to be realistic about this part.
What do you mean?
Some people might have these big spiritual experiences through these practices.
Right.
But it's not something you should chase after or try to force. It's more about opening yourself up to the possibility.
Okay.
Creating the potential for those experiences to happen naturally if they're meant to be part of your path. Like planting a seed.
Right.
You're creating the right conditions, but what grows from it is different for everyone.
It's not like flipping a switch. It's more about cultivating the right environment. So it's less about forcing it and more about like setting the stage and seeing what happens.
Exactly.
But even if we don't have these like dramatic spiritual awakenings, just knowing that we can maybe use our minds to impact our energy and well-being is still pretty wild, don't you think?
Totally. And the cool thing about visualization is that it's like super adaptable.
Right.
So if that beam of light thing doesn't quite resonate,
Right.
you can experiment with different images, different techniques. The important thing is to find what feels right for you.
Yeah.
What sparks your interest.
Yeah.
What helps you connect with that deeper awareness.
It's like we're uncovering all these tools, each one with the potential to shift our energy and maybe even open us up to totally new experiences. This has been such a cool deep dive.
Yeah.
Who knew our imaginations could be so powerful?
It really makes you wonder, right? I mean, if just picturing a beam of light or a symbol that means something to us,
Right.
if that can have such a big effect on our energy and how we feel, what else could we be capable of?
What a great question to leave our listeners with.
Right.
The mind is a mysterious and amazing thing. Thanks for joining me on this journey today.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep visualizing, and remember, sometimes the most amazing journeys are the ones we take within.